Part 22. I became the richest man in the world by making meatballs. Author, Lanshan Luzi. Chapter 211. In addition to staple foods such as black rice and rice, there are also vegetables that are also at a disadvantage in the picking activities. The Leng family and his son had considered this early in the morning, as the vegetable staple food would be covered in dust. The two chefs specifically discussed the plan with her this morning. Just give them a platform to display. The best platform is their big pot rice. Now the big pot rice is not only prepared for star citizens. Tourists from outside can also pay to buy it. From the big pot rice, tourists can truly appreciate the high quality of Muyuan star ingredients, and then make purchases. Desire. So they have adjusted their menu and plan to make various vegetarian dishes in a variety of ways in the past few days to showcase the high quality ingredients of their Muyuan star. The result is pretty good. I originally thought that the biggest business opportunity would be in the village, but I didn't expect that it was their side that received the purchase order first. Immediately afterwards, the three large pots next to Yang also opened their lids one by one. The pot in front of Yangziang was filled with golden stacks of bricks. This is a dish called brick. It uses white steamed buns cut into the shape of bricks and deep fried until golden brown. The inside is hollowed out and filled with various fillings such as lark mushrooms, corn, pine nuts, and shiitake mushrooms. It's amazing at a glance. Knowing that this is a delicacy that is extremely rich in appearance, color, and taste, no chef in the empire has ever made this type of dish. Do you think this is over? No, Leng Xiao was shocked by the big pot in front of him. At first glance, there were red-colored, fat, and thin pieces of braised pork in the pot. But considering the current situation of Muyuan planet, braised pork is not absolutely impossible, because there is no meat on Muyuan planet. Is this the vegetarian meat you're talking about? Fen Yuyu heard Bai Qianchun mention it just now, so he quickly deduced from the four pots that the pot of braised pork with good color, flavor, and appearance was hers. The vegetarian meat that is set in the mouth. Bai Qianchun swallowed and said uncertainly, yes, it should be so. To be honest, she had never seen what the vegetarian meat that being said looked like before. If this pot of braised pork was really vegetarian, then the father and son would be really awesome. This hand is really high. It was so good that I took it to participate in the Master Chef competition. The last pot, that is, the one in front of the rice blue girl, is a long pot. When the lid is opened, there is a milky yellow soup inside. Sniffing the sweet aroma in the air, this pot is a pot of sweet soup. Young man Yang obviously liked this pot of sweet soup. He explained passionately to the side with a bright smile, this pot is called hydrangea and stone ear soup. It uses a lot of ingredients. The stone ear on the cliff east of Muyuan Star, the stone ear on the top of the mountain, hydrangea fungus, iron rod yam in the high mountains in the south, Anomatus at the foot of the snow-capped mountains, cashew nuts and peach gum on Dalan Mountain, and snow pears in the giant forest. It can be said that it is a delicacy that brings together delicacies from all over the world in Muyuan Star. The taste is simply superb. It is loved by men, women, and children. After finishing one bowl, you still want another bowl. I would like to remind you, don't eat the food in front. I'm so full, save your stomach for this delicious sweet soup. If you miss this time, it will be impossible to make it again in the past few days. At least you have to wait until the picking tour is over before you can make it a second time. Guan Cao, who rushed over after smelling the smell but didn't dare to queue up, sniffed and subconsciously asked, why, do you have to wait until the picking tour is over before you can do it a second time? Just from the smell of this pot of sweet soup, he knew it was particularly to his liking. He was like a big bear meeting honey, his eyeballs were stuck to it and he couldn't pull it out. Yang smiled while serving black rice to the grandfather who could not wait and almost knocked on his rice bowl. He said, because the menus these days have been customized, we will never go back and make duplicate dishes. We must make everyone look at the superiority of every ingredient on Jupiter. Guan Cao's eyes lit up and his big head clicked rapidly. Oh, so you can eat all kinds of delicious meals. Okay, this is good. According to today's standards, he was full of expectations for the dishes in the next few days. He only regretted that he didn't come early enough to eat such fresh food. Feng Yuyu was smart and understood what he meant. He glanced at the woman beside him with his thin lips raised, and gently bumped her petite and thin shoulder with his arm. Are you worried about vegetables and fruits? Can't you sell it? This is easy to handle. Feng's group, can eat whatever you have left. You don't have to worry about making so many kinds of dishes. Those pills alone are not enough for you. Starting yesterday, I haven't had a good rest. Baikin Chun's big eyes flashed with a ghostly light. This man was sometimes very useful and considerate. But even if we are husband and wife, I can't rely on you for everything. What Mu Yunc needs is independence. Just give me some guidance. As for the menu of these dishes, I didn't make them. My family Erbing and his father made them. Yes, father and son are born chefs, and they are very good at innovating dishes. I just look at the menu and give them an idea, so it doesn't take much effort. She didn't hear a lot of what she said. Feng Yuyu's eyes darkened slightly and he only caught one key point: you're Erbing. His tone was subconsciously a little sour. According to the information from the previous investigation, besides her, the only name on her family register is Feng Yuyu. Where did Erbing come from? When did this kid show up? Wasn't it enough to have a younger brother Ye Yang before? Seeing that the food in the pot was decreasing little by little, the star citizens who had already placed the food on the table could not even raise their heads to eat. Guan Cao, who was waiting on the side, swallowed his saliva wildly and couldn't hold back his appetite for the delicious food. Desire finally gritted his teeth and made up his mind to come over and interrupt the couple's whisper. He was a big man and rubbed his hands like a big honest bear. He smiled eagerly at Bai Jianchun and said, "Second sister-in-law, we helped cut down the trees just now. Do you think you can get a staff meal as well?" Hearing this, Zhuangshu and Yao Wengxian, who were listening with their ears pricked up, also looked over nervously. In fact, they were quite greedy, especially when their stomachs were empty after work, and the aroma of the food penetrated their noses one after another. Even a saint could not restrain the saliva from flowing in his mouth. Bai Jianchun looked at his dirty and pitiful appearance. Lao Lu Guan Cao, this silly big guy is a good person. She nodded to him with a genuine smile and said, "Of course, you can eat as much as you want, Feng. Ayu's younger brother is my younger brother, so you can accept it with ease." Guan Cao's eyes suddenly lit up and he shouted in a loud voice, "Thank you, second sister-in-law." Then he hurriedly opened his big feet and ran over to line up. When Zhuangshu and Lao Qi saw this, they also hurriedly came to express their gratitude. One called the chief's wife and the other called the second sister-in-law, with serious expressions on their faces. Only Yao Wengxian couldn't shout because he knew the truth. For the first time, Kek felt that knowing the truth was not a good thing. I became the richest man in the world by making meatballs. Author, Lanshan Luzi. Chapter 212. Bai Jianchun stared at Yao Wengxian with eyes that made Yao Wengxian's scalp numb and his elite face stiffened. Finally, his smile fell and he shouted in frustration, "Miss Ancient Doctor." After all, he couldn't pronounce the title second sister-in-law, not to mention that when he usually called Feng Yuyu, he also called Lao or Yuyu. He really couldn't call him second brother as naturally as Lao Lu Lao Qi. He shouted, "After all, his real age is older than Feng Yuyu." This ranking was based on the time when he was officially admitted to the team when he was in Junk Star. Now of course he couldn't call Bai Jianchun second sister-in-law calmly. Bai Jianchun and Feng Yuyu, who was watching the show, both had regretful looks in their eyes. Yao Wengxian's eyelids twitched. Haha, this fake couple has a tacit understanding. Ahem. Bai Qianchun coughed lightly, avoiding his gaze, and said seriously, thank you fourth brother for your help just now. If you don't mind, fourth brother can also have a staff meal with us. Fourth brother Yao Wengxian's mouth twitched, but he still endured it and accepted the title firmly. But after all, he is a person who has seen the world, so he quickly got over this embarrassment. Then he showed a just right smile and politely said thank you. He seemed calm, but in fact he took 3 steps at a time and 2 steps at a time. Walking in the direction of the team, with one last lunge, he lined up firmly in front of Fen Tanggui. Fen Yuyu, who was watching the show from behind, had a cheerful smile on his lips. Bai Qianchun also pursed her lips and smiled. Manager Yao is not that safe. Only Fen Tanggui, who was a step too late and was robbed of his position, was confused. She? What's the situation? Did you agree to behave like a gentleman and give priority to ladies? What's going on with Brother Yao's rush to reincarnate? As if he felt 2 hot eyes staring at the back of his head, Yao Wengxian held his stomach that started to growl, with a hint of helplessness on his gentle face, and he resisted not looking back. Alas, he had survived the death of his fourth brother just now, so this burning gaze was nothing at all. It's better to look after your stomach now. He was cutting down trees just now with the same energy as when he was picking up trash at the garbage star. It consumed too much, and there was a scent lingering in front of him, so he would put aside his gentlemanly demeanor for now. The first priority in the hearts of men born from the garbage star must be to fill their stomachs. The fragrance floated in waves with the changing direction of the wind. Fen Yuyu swallowed hard when he saw the eager looks of the group of people, and couldn't help but move his long legs in that direction. But before he could take a step forward, he saw that boy Yang showing 2 small tiger teeth, holding a food box in his hand, and walking towards the side with a bright smile. Fen Yuyu could not take a step forward immediately. He glanced sideways at the woman next to him, and immediately retracted his feet in casual shoes, moved in her direction, and stood side by side with her. Yang didn't notice his little move. He picked up the food box and handed it to Bai Qianchun like a treasure. Sister Chun, this is your lunch. Erbian and I specially served it for you in advance. Yes, I originally planned to go to the Star Lord's mansion to deliver it to you when you weren't here, but it's much more convenient now that you're here. Does Sister Chun plan to eat here or go back to the Star Lord's mansion? Bai Qianchun took it with a smile, weighed the food box, and said, just eat here. You can go back and do your work. Okay, Yang responded with a smile, then walked back for a moment, then turned around and said as if he suddenly thought of something, by the way, we have prepared a lot of food in the food box, brother-in-law, you can also eat together. Bai Qianchun's hand holding the food box paused and said okay. Fen Yuyu immediately felt comfortable and liked Yang a lot, and even gave him an appreciative look. Bai Qianchun noticed his little movement, smiled and raised his eyebrows and glanced at Yuyu. Now you don't have to worry about the spoon shaking. Fen Yuyu didn't pay attention to her sarcasm and nodded reservedly, indeed. Then he hurriedly picked a flat open space aside, took out an exquisite small dining table from the space button, European style, the kind with gold wire and rubies inlaid on the corners, and then took out 2 matching tables. The chair is large and comfortable. It is also inlaid with large red gemstones. The cushions are in a bohemian style with exquisite contrasting colors. The softness and comfort when you sit on it are similar to that of the sofa. Looking closely, they all exude one word: expensive. They are expensive. From the large red stones to the gold encrusted corners on the table corners, everything exudes an expensive atmosphere. In terms of luxury, it is comparable to His Royal Highness's throne. The outskirts of the countryside have been upgraded with this set of luxurious tables and chairs, as if they were sitting on a royal hunting ground having afternoon tea. Bai Qian-chun was silent. The luxurious life of this rich man is so damn enviable. She put the plain-looking food box on the luxurious table with a nonchalant expression, and then slowly opened the lid of the food box under Feng Yuyu's urging eyes. Fortunately, the bowls and chopsticks inside did not fall apart. The bowls, chopsticks, plates, and cups all come in a set, with golden lotus patterns, which are exquisite and grand. Look at the beautiful dishes arranged inside, which is even more amazing. With a golden lotus pattern, the porcelain white plate has alternating fat and thin braised pork with a ruddy color, stacked into a pyramid with gaps, poured with a thick and ruddy sauce, and placed next to the meat tower. The two red and purple carvings take the level of sophistication to another level. In addition, the presentation of the 5 BRICS countries is also very beautiful. In a porcelain plate with a golden lotus in full bloom, small rectangular pieces are fried with golden skin. Inside are corn, pine nuts, mushrooms and other ingredients. The color impact is very strong, and the presentation is also very beautiful. Similar to the pyramid shape, it vividly displays the rich condiments and connotations of the 5 BRIC countries. There is also a golden lotus wrapped in half a bowl of black rice. The golden lotus blooms from the bottom of the cup, and the cup contains hydrangea and stone ear soup with colorful custard color. When they were placed on Feng Yuyu's luxurious table, plates, bowls, and cups, wow, don't tell me, there was no sense of inconsistency and they matched quite well. Bai Qian-chun could tell the origin of the set of tableware at a glance, and it was made in Zhenlong City. The day before the nuclear bomb exploded, she had heard that the largest porcelain pavilion in Zhenlong City had just purchased a batch of porcelain with golden lotus patterns. The porcelain was of such high quality that it sold for sky-high prices. Poor people like Zai Wutong can't afford it, but now I didn't expect that she could still use it. Tisk, it seems that during the 3 days when she was away from Wuyuan Star, Ye Yang and Bing went to Zhenlong City a lot and messed around a lot. I don't know how these two guys explain the origin of these things. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I became the richest man in the world by making meatballs. Author, Lanshan Luzi. Chapter 213. Feng Yuyu picked up the chopsticks, wiped them and handed them to Bai Qian-chun. Then he started to eat with a smile on his lips. Of course, the first chopstick fell on the braised pork that he had been thinking about for a long time. He couldn't wait to know whether it was really vegetarian meat. After one bite, the braised pork covered with sauce almost melted in your mouth. The touch of the tongue was filled with the sauce, covering up the essence of the meat. Feng Yuyu really didn't want to take this first bite. Tell if this is real meat or fake meat. It wasn't until the second bite that the delicious excitement of the sauce subsided, and he felt the taste of meat. Not to mention, the imitation ability of this fake meat was really amazing. The texture and feel of the meat were almost exactly the same. If it weren't for there was no fishy smell in this meat, and it even had a hint of fresh herbal and fruity aroma. He really couldn't tell that it was fake meat. But one thing worth affirming is that the hint of fresh herbal and fruity aroma elevates the taste of the whole braised pork to a higher level, and even makes it taste more amazing than the real authentic braised pork. It solves the problem of getting tired very well. Feng Yuyu felt that the braised pork made with vegetarian meat was more delicious than the braised pork made with real meat, and he could eat 2 more plates of it. He stuffed the remaining half of the meat on the chopsticks into his mouth, then picked up the small bowl of black rice and took a bite elegantly. 3 or 4 soybean-sized black rice were clearly visible in his mouth, soft and fragrant. A touch of lotus leaf is the finishing touch, elevating a small bowl of cheap black rice to the rank of top-quality fragrant rice. I have to say that there is truly a crouching tiger, hidden dragon on Wuyuan planet. The chef who made this meal can definitely compare with the top chefs in the Huayao Empire's chef world. He opened a 5-star chef some time ago and poached the ranking. The top 5 chefs don't seem to be as good as him. But there may be another reason, and that is the ingredients. Since yesterday, he has eaten many fruits and vegetables produced on Wuyuan planet. Without exception, each one is of higher quality than those cultivated high-quality fruits and vegetables. Well, it seems that he has reached a long-term supply relationship with Wuyuan planet. Not bad. Fen Yu, with his evil and handsome face, ate elegantly and quickly. Even a grain of broken rice stuck to the corner of his mouth did not affect his image of a noble master at all. Bai Qianshun, who was opposite him, was not in the mood to appreciate the tiny grains of broken rice at the corner of his mouth. He was also immersed in the wonderful taste of food. When she took one bite of the dish at noon today, she knew it was not made by Leng Xiao, but by Leng Xiao's father, Leng Jun. It seemed that Leng Jun still hadn't shown off his special skills in the past few days. He was hiding his clumsiness. In comparison, today's lunch meal is simply better than the previous big pot rice and barbecue. The deliciousness is worth 100 points, the sophistication is worth 100 points, and the presentation is worth 100 points. If the previous big pot rice was A grade, this meal is now SSS level. You can easily get into the top 5 in the chef competition. She smacked her lips, feeling glad that the father and son came over this morning to show off their time and decisively agreed to their plan, otherwise there would be no way to show off this good craftsmanship. Dad is indeed a dad, and his skills are definitely better than Leng Xiao's. After Feng Tanggui finished cooking, she was holding the dinner plate. At a glance, she saw her cousin and cousin sitting at the exquisite and luxurious dining table over there, like they were having a picnic and having afternoon tea. Her little face was immediately confused. Should she get over it or not? Qin Menyun also sat in front of a gorgeous table, raised his red lips and glanced at her. Want to eat dog food? Feng Tanggui heard the sound and looked over, shaking her head decisively like a rattle. No, 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 I don't want to. Qin Menyun chuckled seductively, then come over here and talk to me. I feel lonely eating alone. Feng Tanggui glanced at the 3 rows of strong men behind her with her mouth wide open. After taking off their suit jackets, their uniform black sunglasses still proved their final strength as bodyguards. She swallowed. Is this a person? Don't you want to come over? Come on, come on, come on. Feng Tanggui walked decisively to His Highness the Prince's gorgeous long table with the dinner plate in hand, and chose a seat opposite. Fortunately, His Highness the Prince did not bring out the special long table at the banquet where both ends of the table are seated and the only shouting is required. This small long table is very good. The 2 people sitting opposite do not need to raise their voices at all. They can hear each other clearly in their normal voices. Feng Tanggui put the iron dinner plate on the long and luxurious table, which was in sharp contrast with the luxurious bowls and chopsticks used to serve it in front of His Royal Highness opposite, but she was not embarrassed at all, let alone ashamed, and her expression remained unchanged. Rubbing his hands, he excitedly picked up the chopsticks and put a piece of braised pork into his mouth. Probably because of the blood relationship, Feng Tanggui also fell in love with this vegetarian version of braised pork among several dishes. Qin Menyun looked at the little girl opposite who was eating delicious food, and her gorgeous red lips curled up. Like her sister-in-law, she was quite lovable. After Feng Tanggui tasted all the black rice, braised pork, brick, and hydrangea ear soup, she looked satisfied and had time to talk. She didn't regard herself as an outsider and asked the question in a familiar manner. Just a question I want to ask, Your Highness, why didn't those bodyguards behind you go get the food? They were working just now. Qin Menyun took an elegant sip of the soup with a spoon and laughed in a low voice, because they couldn't recognize their master and made a mistake. The work just now was punishment, and they are not worthy of eating these good things. The bodyguards behind them all had their heads drooped, lasagna dripping from their faces. You are right, but is it too cruel to let them stand and watch them eat? This smell was humming more alluring than a beautiful woman standing in front of them, and they couldn't hold it any longer. Fortunately, His Highness the Prince did not restrict them from drinking the nutrient solution. Those who really couldn't bear it could only pour the nutrient solution into their mouths while smelling the fragrance. Drinking it while smelling the fragrance of the food, rounding it off meant that they had eaten it. After hearing this, Fentangui immediately withdrew her sympathetic look towards the bodyguards. She couldn't even recognize her master, so she must be punished. She continued to lower her head and eat deliciously, working hard. After finishing one plate, she touched her slightly bulging belly. She still felt that she was not satisfied, so she immediately stood up, holding the plate, and planned to add another plate. However, she did not forget the diner opposite, and asked sincerely, "Your Highness, do you want more? Do you need me to bring you some more food?" Qin Menyun paused, then picked up a plate with all the meat but still with sauce and handed it over. "Excuse me, give me another plate of braised pork." After checking their eyes, they are all ultimate fans of braised pork. Okay, Fentangui took the plate with a grin and walked towards the team. I became the richest man in the world by making meatballs. Author, Lanshan Luziy. Chapter 214. Different from the four of them who were eating at the gorgeous dining table, the rest of them casually found a place to eat with their plates in hand. Even Yao Wengxian and the four of them were similar, but they were a little more particular. They found the big tree stump that had been knocked down earlier was used as a table, and 4 stones were moved to sit there and eat. At this time, the four of them had already finished the second portion, and then rushed to queue up for the third portion. It was so delicious that they would eat it to death as long as they couldn't hold it to death. After all, they had to work in the afternoon, and the intense physical exertion was completely okay. Digest this meal before dinner arrives. Hey, where's the meat? Where's the braised pork in the pot? The first pot of braised pork brought over had already been eaten by a group of people with their gluttonous appetites. Ya Yang and Leng Xiao quickly went back to the village while they were not busy and brought over 2 more pots. As a result, when the lid of the pot was lifted, the braised pork in the pot disappeared, leaving only the empty bottom of the pot with oil and sauce. Ya Yang's hand holding the pot lid froze, and he was confused at that time. What's going on? Why is the meat missing? Fentangui, who was queuing in front, also craned her neck to look over and looked at the empty bottom of the pot. She raised her eyes and looked at the handsome Huya guy in front of her, and asked suspiciously, "You couldn't have eaten it yourself on the road, right?" The rest of the people in the queue also reacted and looked at Ya Yang with suspicious eyes. This little girl is right. Boy Yang, could it be that you smelled too good and couldn't help but eat it in the middle of the way, bar? Yes, yes, this braised pork tastes amazing. If it were me, I wouldn't be able to resist eating some. Tisk, tisk. Yang boy, it's okay for you to eat. Go to the village and make another pot for us. Yes, 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 it doesn't matter if you eat secretly. The most important thing is to make up for the meat. Boy Yang, don't be so stupid. Go back and move another pot. Seeing that someone put this crime on him with just one word, even though he didn't scold him, Ya Yang still felt aggrieved. He really didn't eat it secretly. He was so unjust. Besides, his belly would burst from eating such a big pot of braised pork by himself. And he didn't even stop on the way. He was with Byung the whole way, so he didn't have time to eat secretly. Ya Yang explained without tears, "I didn't eat it secretly. I really didn't eat it secretly. If you don't believe me, ask Byung. He can testify for me." Leng Xiao came up from behind with a frown, moved the big pot he was holding and put it on the shelf, and then glanced at Ya Yang's pot, with a strange expression on his cold and paralyzed face. Seeing that he didn't move, Ya Yang quickly pulled his sleeves and urged with tears in his eyes, "Byung, please speak, please explain to me that I'm not such a foodie, and I didn't steal food on the road. I'm really not that big, there's so much food to eat. Leng Xiao saw that he was about to pull off his clothes to expose his shoulders, and quickly swatted his hand away, stepped aside, and then calmly said to the group of people queuing in front of him, "Yeah, Yang, really didn't we ate it secretly, but we stopped for something on the way, and the pot was out of our sight for a while. Maybe the meat in the pot was stolen by someone during this time." Then he opened his pot again, and sure enough, the black rice inside also disappeared without a trace, not even a grain of rice was left. Leng Xiao continued speaking calmly, "It seems that the rice in my pot has also been stolen." Ya Yang was even more confused, what on earth is going on? The black rice in Leng Xiao pot has also disappeared? If he hadn't gone to the village in person and whizzed back in a speeding car without stopping, I would have believed what he said. He winked and used crazy eyes to signal Leng Xiao to ask, "What's going on? What are you making up? Could this be a daydream?" Here, Bai Qianchun rubbed her belly and burped lightly before noticing the situation on Ya Yang's side. She blinked curiously and left the mess on the table to Feng Yuyu while she walked around. "Go over and check things out." "Hey, sister-in-law, do you want another bowl?" Bai Qianchun was spotted by Feng Tanggui as soon as she came over. She happily waved her plate to greet Bai Qianchun, who came over. "No, I'm full, I don't need another bowl." Bai Qianchun shook her head and said, then looked at Ya Yang and Leng Xiao, who were surrounded by the crowd, and asked suspiciously, "What's going on? Why are you all gathered here?" Hearing this, Feng Tanggui and the people in front turned their heads one after another and recounted what happened. After Bai Qianchun heard this, his eyes flashed slightly, and he ate it secretly. Could it be the kohlrabi star spirit? With the same weird expression as Leng Xiao on her face, she walked into the crowd, walked to the pot and took a look at the bottom of the pot. Sure enough, she saw a star lying stretched out on the bottom of the pot with sauce. But the kohlrabi seedling didn't have any sauce on her body, her mung bean eyes narrowed comfortably, and her little face looked like she was satisfied after eating and drinking. Seeing Bai Qianchun looking over, he crossed his legs in a cowardly manner, half opened one eye and gave her a proud smile, with a cocky little mouth. "Bai Qianchun. Sure enough, it is this daring kohlrabi star spirit. You kid, it wasn't enough for you to steal all the herbs in her medicine cabinet before, but now you're blatantly stealing food." But thinking about her previous promise not to expose it, Bai Qianchun could only pretend not to see it. She coughed lightly and said to Ya Yang, who was still planning to continue to explain and find the truth, "We will investigate whoever stole things later. Everyone is queuing up here. You go back to the village first and bring a few pots back. This time I will go with you to help keep an eye on it. There will definitely be no more accidents on the road." Leng Xiao nodded with a cold face, "Sister Chun is right, we'll go right away." Everyone in the queue also said in agreement, "It's okay that the host of the star is beautiful. We can investigate the thief later, but people are like iron, rice and steel. We have to eat enough first before we can have the strength to investigate. Young boy Yang has a good heart, but he is a little too young and doesn't know how to adapt. Lord Star Lord, please help me keep an eye on this, lest these two gangsters fall into the trap of the thief again. Hey, who is so bold and dares to steal meat on our Muyuan planet? No, we must not tolerate this matter, otherwise the thief will become a big thief, and maybe the thief will think that we can't do anything to him." Bai Qianchun looked ashamed as he listened to their indignant words. They probably would never be able to catch this thief. She quickly used space buttons to load a few empty pots and turned around to leave. Behind her, Leng Xiao dragged Ya Yang, who was still muttering unconvinced, and the three of them quickly left the valley and walked towards the dense forest on the hillside. I became the richest man in the world by making meatballs. Author, Lan Shan Lu Zy. Chapter 215. Seeing that there was no one around, Ya Yang finally put aside the arm that Leng Xiao was holding, and started to yell depressedly, "Sister Chun, Being, what are you talking about? I clearly didn't leave for a moment just now. Big pot, there are all speeding cars on the road, who can have the ability to snatch the meat from my pot. It makes no sense, I didn't notice it at all, and why did you say that just now?" Seeing that this boy was beginning to doubt his life, Bai Jianchun didn't say anything to him, and took out the bold thief that he had just taken advantage of with his right hand. Ye Yang looked at her movements with a confused look on his face. "What are you doing?" As soon as Bai Jianchun saw his expression, she understood that a certain kohlrabi star spirit was still causing trouble. She pinched the star spirit's kohlrabi head and shook it, urging, "Hurry up and show yourself, don't bully Ye Yang." The turnip star spirit had its head pinched by her and twisted its body unwillingly. Its limbs opened its teeth and claws fiercely for a few times. Seeing Bai Qianchun's unmoved face, it reluctantly appeared. The shape allows Ye Yang to see it. Ye Yang's eyes widened, and he pointed his finger in the direction of the kohlrabi star spirit. He clutched his chest and looked like he was out of breath. It did it on purpose just now. I was the only one who couldn't see it. No wonder Being had that expression after taking a look at the bottom of the pot and made up a lie. And because he couldn't see and foolishly took the blame, he was pointed out and almost unjustly accused. Not only was he still thinking about finding the thief. Ye Yang's heart was broken, this star spirit must be targeting him. The kohlrabi star turned its head with a roar, and cursed fiercely, "You stupid two-legged beast, who makes you the stupidest? You can't think of this star spirit after not seeing each other for a few days." Leng Xiao and Bai Jianchun somewhat agree with this. As for the situation just now, as long as they have seen the kohlrabi star spirit, they should have guessed that the supernatural incident of missing meat may be the work of this star spirit who can only hide his figure. But it's strange that Ye Yang didn't have any doubts from beginning to end. Ye Yang himself seemed to feel that he was in the wrong, and scratched his face in embarrassment. "It's not that there are too many things in the past 2 days and I didn't expect to go there, and I haven't seen you since the night when Mu Yuan Seeing restarted." The kohlrabi star spirit crossed its short hands to its chest and said confidently, "Humph, you stupid two-legged beast has such a bad memory and still makes excuses for forgetting such a great existence of this star spirit. Stupid, stupid, too stupid stupid." Seeing that this thief was getting more and more addicted when he was caught in trouble, Bai Jianchun had black lines on his head. She pinched its head and shook it again. Okay, now it's time to talk about your stealing. What's the matter? It's not enough for you to eat all the fruits and vegetables on Wuyuan planet, but you also blatantly steal the vegetables and eat them without fear of being discovered." The little kohlrabi star spirit curled up, and stretched out its 2 short hands to hug its big head. Stop shaking, your intestines are about to come out." Then it groaned and complained plausibly, "Why can't I eat such delicious food? I am also an employee, and I have to eat as much as I want. You can't treat me differently from those stupid people." The two-leg. Hearing this, Bai Jianchun paused, as if they had indeed signed a handyman contract before. Yes, this Protas is indeed an employee. Then she raised her eyes and glanced at its belly, and she was really curious. "Are you full? How did you stuff 2 big pots of food into your little body, which is no bigger than 2 pieces of braised pork?" The turnip star spirit was immediately diverted. With a proud look in his eyes, he straightened his little body and said arrogantly, "What's so difficult about that? I tell you that this star spirit eats energy. No matter how many meals there are, if it can be converted into energy, it won't be a problem to have 2 more big pots. Just now, there was brick and hydrangea and stone ear soup, which I haven't tasted yet. Please give me 2 more pots so that I can try it." Oh, this thief is going even further. Bai Jianchun laughed angrily at its confident little appearance. "Okay, I'll give you 2 more pots. From now on, I'll leave 1 pot for each dish for you. You can find Ye Yang or Len when the time comes." Xiaoao, we can't cause another supernatural incident like the one where food disappeared. After receiving her promise, the kohlrabi star spirit was in a good mood. Dion nodded, if you don't make trouble anymore, let's stop making trouble if you give me food to eat. This star spirit is not as stupid as the stupid two-legged beast woolen cloth. Then it broke free from Baikin Chun's hand, flew to Ye Yang's head in a flash of light wings, fluttered a few times and made a nest with his hair, and then stood in the center of the nest. With its back straight and its small hands he waved a small wooden stick forward and shouted like a stinker, let's go and eat vegetables. Ye Yang below. Kick his hairstyle. But he was wrong, and this time he held back and scratched his head to get this little star spirit off his head. He shook his head uncomfortably, then turned to ask Bai Jian Chun, Sister Chun, how do you explain the secret eating? Who should we find to take the blame? This Bai Jian Chun hesitated for a moment. This person is really hard to find. Nowadays, in addition to the star citizens on Wuyuan planet, there are also major nobles and tourists who come to sightsee and pick. How can his own family be pushed out to take the blame? As for those who come for sightseeing and picking, they are guests after all, and mistakes cannot be forced on them. She frowned and thought for a moment, let's just say that no one was caught. The thief is too cunning. Recently, more and more people have come to Jupiter. Let the star citizens learn a lesson and be more vigilant. Good. Okay, just listen to Sister Chun. Both Ye Yang and Leng Xiao were convinced by Bai Jian Chun and immediately agreed, praising their Sister Chun for her resourcefulness. After settling this matter, and with the fact that there was still a kohlrabi star spirit on Ye Yang's head that was yelling that he wanted to eat 2 more pots of it, the 3 of them didn't waste any more time, took out the speed car and headed towards the village. Go. Since Jupiter was reopened, the sun has been shining brightly and there has been no rainy weather. At this moment, the fiery red sunlight shines in through the window of the flying car and falls on the 3 people in the car. The kohlrabi star can't help but fly to the empty chair, and its little feet step on the light and play there happily. Bai Jian Chun looked at the bright sunshine and patted his head. He suddenly remembered, by the way, I promised you 2 to find a way to practice ancient martial arts and supernatural powers together. Now I have some clues. How about you guys give it a try? Ye Yang's eyes lit up, okay, Sister Chun, tell me how we should practice. Leng Xiao's paralyzed face also looked over with excitement, and his cold but bright eyes were full of curiosity. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I became the richest man in the world by making meatballs. Author, Lanshan Luzi. Chapter 216. She knew that these 2 boys couldn't forget Gu Wu, so her previous efforts were not in vain. Bai Jian Chun curled up his lips and explained to them, I have studied it carefully. Ancient martial arts cultivate the Danshan, and supernatural powers cultivate the supernatural core. Your ancient martial arts are in conflict with your own supernatural powers. They are not as good as my gentle ones. Use them together, so what I think is to simply separate these 2 abilities. When you use ancient martial arts, you can take back the superpower elements into the superpower core and use the internal power of the ancient martial arts to fight against the enemy. If you use superpowers, then take back the inner strength of the ancient martial arts to the Danshan, and use supernatural elements to infuse the muscles and veins to use supernatural powers. The advantage of this method is that you have a double guarantee. When you are evenly matched with the enemy, after you have consumed one of your abilities, you will have another ability to fight against the enemy. You can turn the tide when necessary. Ye Yang's eyes suddenly lit up, he waved his fist and said enthusiastically, okay, this is good. The battle was originally a 50-50 draw, but alas, I changed to another ability and returned to full strength, but I can't let the person opposite me, I'm so scared. The corners of Bai Qianchun's mouth curled up, and following Ye Yang's words, there was a picture in his mind. Although Leng Xiao was a little excited, he controlled it well and looked at Bai Qianchun calmly with his eyes. What about the shortcomings? Bai Qianchun nodded happily. There are indeed disadvantages. There are two disadvantages. 1. The interaction of the two powers requires that your muscles and veins must be strong. If you are not careful, you may be unable to withstand the force and be exploded or damaged. Especially Being's thunder technique, which is even more powerful and domineering, and the fire element is no less generous. It also requires strong and tough muscles to withstand the interactive use of these two forces. But with the vitality pill, even if there is a problem with your muscles and veins, it can be repaired. That's good, that's good. The two people, who were originally tense, breathed a sigh of relief. Bai Qianchun smiled and said, although it can be repaired with the vitality pill, it is only a solution after an accident. This is a last resort choice, so I plan to let you take a medicinal bath first, and then wait for the foundation of broadening the muscles and veins. It's best to practice ancient martial arts after fighting well. What do you think? Of course the two of them nodded seriously. Listen to Sister Chun. Good. Bai Qianchun raised the corners of her lips with satisfaction. Then let's talk about the second disadvantage, which is that it takes time. If you want to use the supernatural power, wait until the ancient martial arts inner power is recovered from the Danshan, and then use the supernatural power. The energy core extracts superpower elements, so the time consumed is twice as slow as that of ordinary superpowers. This may cause you to lose the opportunity during the battle, especially against the strong ones. The opportunity is fleeting. It is very likely that we will lose because of this time difference. Leng Xiao frowned, with a solemn expression on his face. Indeed, we must strengthen training in this area. Anyway, the option of giving up Gu Wu does not exist for him. Bai Qianchun patted him on the shoulder. Then practice hard. You are not young anymore. Start as soon as possible. The sooner the better. I can prepare the medicinal bath in the afternoon. You can take time to come over and soak your muscles in the evening. The pulse intensity needs to be stronger than that of Ye Yang, so one more course of treatment is required. As for Ye Yang, you still need to grow taller. Well, the medicinal bath is a bit different. If the two medicines are put together, it may be very irritating. Ye Yang was afraid of being one step behind, so he hurriedly patted his chest and said, I'm not afraid of pain or suffering if I use the two medicines together. I'm just afraid that I won't be able to keep up with the progress of the two cakes. I think I was also a genius at the beginning, just because I wasted time on setting up agencies, so I can't compete with Erpai, so I can definitely stand on the same starting line this time. Leng Xiao glanced at him indifferently, with disdain in his eyes. Speaking of the starting line, Ye Yang, a boy in his previous life, practiced before him, but he didn't let him pass him in the end. Ye Yang didn't pay attention to the look in his eyes. He just thought that now that there was no machine skill to hinder him, he must be better than Being. Moreover, Being had one more course of treatment than him, so he could still get a head start. Seeing the positive energy of the two people, Bai Qianchun was very pleased. Then she brought up another topic. I plan to take the exam for the first military academy next year, but the exam rules of the first military academy have changed. It is said that the difficulty will be increased, especially the difficulty of cultural courses. So in addition to practicing ancient martial arts this year, cultural classes cannot be left behind, especially Ye Yang. If you plan to study a major such as making mecha warships, you must also learn the basics of related content. The manufacturing department attaches great importance to cultural classes, and you also need to understand relevant knowledge. You should prepare as soon as possible. Nowadays, the competition is very competitive. Many students have been preparing since they were young. If you are behind at the starting line, you cannot relax now. It is not advisable to wait until you get to the military academy to learn relevant in-depth knowledge. Smart people are prepared in advance. Ye Yang's face turned from sunny to cloudy, and his bright smile slowly fell. MMMP, if he has to spend a lot of time in cultural classes, then he will have to fall behind being a martial arts idiot. Ye Yang, what are your plans? Tell me. Baikan Chun's call was like a slap in the face, and Ye Yang immediately returned to reality and reason from his high-profile ideal of standing on the same starting line and planning to compete with being in terms of force value. He gritted his teeth and said, "Study, as long as you can't learn to die, learn to death. I promise not to miss the cultural class within a year and grab the relevant knowledge of the manufacturing department." Being's mother recommended relevant manufacturing books to me before. I have already. I watched some on Starnet. Forget it, someone with such a smart brain needs him more in logistics, so let Erbian, a martial arts idiot with no intelligence or talent, do the work of beating people to death. While the three of them were talking, the speed car had already arrived in the village. There are countless people coming and going in the cooking square, and various tables, either exquisite or casual, are set up. The aristocratic girls and tourists are mixing together to eat, drink, talk and laugh. It is very lively. Bai Qian-chun put on the mask and took a look outside. She had a rough idea. Today, the number of people has increased several times, and new faces have been added, both young and old. Seeing the three of them getting off the flying car, countless eyes immediately came to them. Some were in awe, some were afraid, and some were vigilant and scrutinizing. Bai Qian-chun keenly sensed the emotions in their eyes. She raised her eyebrows calmly. It seemed like there were a lot of spies from all over the place. What she expected was good. The restart of Mu Yun Star really attracted a lot of attention. Then she lowered her eyes and sent a message. Mr. Yechin stepped up inspections. When there are more people, there will be more troubles. With the army brought by Feng Yuyu to guard them, they dare not cause trouble on the surface, but there will definitely be no less small tricks secretly. Bai Qian-chun pinched the kohlrabi star spirit that she caught. As the real central core of the Muyuan planet, the little actions of those people must not escape its eyes. Well, it is good to work after being fed. I became the richest man in the world by making meatballs. Author, Lanshan Luzi. Chapter 217. 4 large pots were still burning hot in the square, and a rich aroma lingered in the air of the square. The straight face of Leng Xiao's father, Leng Jun, was now full of smiles. He looked high-spirited and was wielding a large iron spoon and a spatula vigorously. Leng Jun, who has been living on the Muyuan planet for a long time and has nowhere to put his top skills to use, now has a chance to rejuvenate his beloved chef career. How could he not be happy when the ship set sail? When he saw his son and Star Master coming over, he greeted him warmly with a smile on his face. "Star Master, are you here to get food?" Bai Qian-chun grabbed the star spirit that was fluttering its light wings and was about to rush towards the hot and fragrant cauldron, but did not let it pass and turn into fried kohlrabi. Then she raised the corners of her mouth slightly and replied to Leng Jun, "Yes, we haven't eaten enough over there in the valley, and we met a thief. The pot of braised pork and chicken that Erbian and Ye Yang moved over just now, the fragrant black rice has been stolen, so I came over quickly to replenish it." "What, there is a food thief? This is not okay. Who dares to steal food on our Muyuan planet? No matter how delicious the food I cook is, you can't steal it. This is a serious insult to me, a chef." Disrespectful Leng Jun's smiling face frowned at that moment, and his face became serious. Bai Qian-chun smiled dryly and squeezed the culprit in his hand. Then he coughed slightly and said, "We didn't find out who it was, but although eating is a trivial matter, it also proves that there are hidden dangers on Muyuan planet. Uncle Leng should be more vigilant here, even if there are no eating thieves. The food also needs to be watched more to avoid any accidents, especially now that there are so many people. Leng Jun immediately understood what she meant, his eyes darkened, and he quickly assured, "Don't worry, Star Master, my wife also thought of this, so she specially installed surveillance cameras in the stone house." Bai Chun's eyes lit up, "What a great job." Since the intelligence of the star citizens was not low, Bai Chun felt more at ease. Then, following Leng Jun's instructions, he grabbed the kohlrabi star spirit who was eagerly fluttering its light wings to find food and entered the stone room at the back. This room was originally the small kitchen of the Leng family. It was built by Leng Jun and Leng Xiao to study cooking skills. Now the space has been expanded and it looks twice as big. It is neatly kept inside. There are 2 rooms on the right side. In addition to the stove, there is also a large countertop and a large sink, specially used for washing vegetables. On the vine shelf in the left space is an iron pot containing food, covered with lids and placed in an orderly manner in 2 layers, upper and lower. There was no one in the house at the moment, not even Leng Xiao's mother was there. She should have gone out to help. Yang and Leng Xiao are extremely familiar with this place, and they can figure out which pot contains what food without anyone's help. However, Yang was not in a hurry to move it, but pointed at one of the iron pots and winked at Bai Chun with a proud look on his face. Bai Chun glanced in the direction of his finger and quickly understood what he meant. They secretly smuggled these iron pots out of Zhenlong City. The iron pots all have the same plum blossom logo, which is the work of the blacksmith Mei Hua in Zhenlong City. The blacksmith Mei Hua is a charming old man, and he does look like a handsome old man. Although he looks thin, the old man is very strong, and he can wield a hammer or a big knife with ease. The plum blossom blacksmith in Zhenlong City can make any kind of iron, from weapons and broadswords to iron pots and horseshoes. He can make any iron weapon. It is a famous weapon customization shop in the ancient martial arts world, and everything is custom made here. All will be branded with plum blossoms unique to plum blossom blacksmiths as a symbol. The set of golden needles that Bai Chun used before was ordered from him. Because they were made of gold, old man Mei Hua also deliberately doubled the customization price, claiming that the old man would make iron instead of gold, and he would be punished if he broke the rules. Markup. Bai Chun had no choice. Although the old man was full of nonsense and very good at deceiving people, his craftsmanship was truly impeccable. It would not be an exaggeration to say he was a top blacksmith. The set of gold needles she customized here will be used until she dies. There was no damage at all, and it was a top-notch item. At least it won her heart more than the set of silver needles she ordered in the Interstellar. However, the set of golden needles disappeared along with her body after the nuclear bomb fell. It was not preserved like other things in Dragon Suppression City. Thinking of this, Bai Chun felt full of regret. Now the blacksmith shop is still there, but Mei Hua is no longer there, and her set of golden needles should be impossible to reproduce. Just as she was recalling her melancholy, Leng Xiao and Yang had already moved 6 large pots from the vine shelves. 2 pots were for the kohlrabi star spirit, and the other 4 pots were to be sent to the valley. Bai Chun put the 4 large pots into the space button, and asked Yang and Leng Xiao to move out the ones that were given to the rutabaga star spirit. After they swaggeringly carried the pot onto the speeder, they opened the lid and took a look. Sure enough, they saw a certain kohlrabi star spirit with a little green body swimming in the milky yellow soup, accompanied by the sound of gurgling soup. Yang's eyes were speechless. Is it drinking bath water? The kohlrabi star spirit flew out of the soup base with a hiss, and flew in the air without any water on it. It put its hands on its waist and cursed Yang, "You are just drinking the bath water, you stupid 2-legged beast. This star spirit is an energy body, which is different from ordinary worldly things like you. Even if it is in the soup, there is a layer of energy separated from it, so it is impossible to drink bath water." After saying that, he was still angry. A small wooden stick appeared from nowhere and flew to the tip of Yang's nose. The small wooden stick pointed at his eyes. Ya Yang was so frightened that he quickly closed his eyes and begged for mercy. I was wrong. I was wrong. Smart Lord Star Spirit, please forgive me, a foolish human being. After all, we are not the same species. Those who don't know are not guilty. Humph! The kohlrabi star spirit raised its chin and snorted with its nostrils pointing upward. Finally, it was satisfied. You two-legged beast knows the truth. Then it glided with its wings fluttering, followed by a graceful jump, and then jumped into the soup with a splash. It was like a small green fish swimming happily in the soup. Breaststroke, butterfly stroke, freestyle. Oh, little starling is also a good swimmer. He can do any posture and can drink soup while swimming. Don't tell me. Ya Yang's eyes were quite envious when he looked at its comfortable appearance. As he watched, Ya Yang's eyes fell on the plum blossom logo of the iron pot. He suddenly slapped his forehead. Ah, by the way, Sister Chun, there is something else I forgot to tell you. We are collecting iron pots. When I was there, I also saw the account book of the old man Mai Hua. The account book recorded that the old man had made 2 sets of gold needles. After making them for you, Sister Chun, he made another set exactly the same 1 month later, and the price was twice as much as yours. The custom maker is Qian Kaiyan, the second ancient doctor behind you, Sister Chun. That woman must be secretly imitating you again. I became the richest man in the world by making meatballs. Author, Lanshan Luzi. Chapter 218. But this is not the point. The point is that this woman also has a set of golden needles. According to her temperament, she will definitely not carry it with her. Instead, she secretly hides it at home and practices. Maybe we can go to her house and find the set of golden needles, Sister Chun. Aren't you gone with your set of gold needles? You can use this woman's. Bai Qian Chun looked at Ya Yang in surprise. What kind of caring treasure was this? Just now she was regretting that her golden needle could not reappear. This big treasure provided her with clues. According to her understanding of Qian Kaiyan, there is a 90% chance that Ya Yang's guess will come true. Okay, let's go to Zhenlong City to look for it tonight. Ya Yang was also happy, and then he couldn't stop talking. Sister Chun, in fact, we can find many other good things in Zhenlong City. The people inside are gone, and the things are all without owners. Things, don't they give us an advantage? Look at the porcelain in the porcelain pavilion that we used before. As soon as it was put on the plate today, the grade went up instantly. It is not worse than the porcelain used by the female prince, especially the porcelain noodles. Urbian and I also fell in love with the things in the embroidery pavilion. In the warehouse behind the embroidery pavilion, there is a batch of embroidery items, all of which are top-notch. It is said that they are all carefully embroidered by top embroiderers with superb skills. Originally, the boss of the embroidery pavilion planned to hold an exhibition specifically for this batch of embroidery in a few days. I had heard some rumors at the time, but hey, now it's all ours. In a previous life, we might not even be able to afford a handkerchief. Ya Yang sighed, and then continued, I have discussed this batch of embroidery with Urbian. I won't take it out now. I will wait until Muyuan's star is completed. No, wait until the Star Lord's mansion is completed before giving it to Sister Chun you use. Bai Qian Chun raised the corners of her mouth slightly and said happily, well, you can also choose a few to use when the time comes, and we will share the blessings. She is still a girl after all, and she naturally likes beautiful things. She and her eldest sister have visited the things in the embroidery pavilion many times, but as Ya Yang said, they are so poor that they can't even buy a handkerchief. I can sigh with joy when I look at the ocean. Now that the embroidery pavilion has become ownerless, and all the good things in it have become hers, is this a blessing in disguise for her? After Ya Yang and Leng Xiao heard what she said, they both smiled and did not refuse directly. This is the tradition in their team. They use good things together and eat hard things together. Although they are grown men who are not interested in embroidered silk and satin and have no use for these exquisite things, Sister Chun said so. Of course they should be the first to respond. Once it's down, I'll just make excuses saying I can't use it or give it to Sister Chun. Listening to Ye Yang's cheerful voice along the way, what good things are there in Zhenlong City, Leng Xiao and Bai Jianchun would occasionally add a few words to the side. The three of them were in a good mood and spent a happy time on the car. Time spent with teammates. Compared to them, Fen Yuyu's mood was not very wonderful. The reason was that while waiting for the meal, Yao Wengxian wandered over to see his joke. Second brother, I heard from your adjutant that the eldest sister has started urging you to get married again. This time she is urging you to hold a wedding, right? After Yao Wengxian took off his gold-rimmed glasses, his fox eyes looked at him with a smile but not a smile. It is quite easy to increase the hatred value. Of course Fen Yuyu couldn't tolerate him seeing her joke, and glanced at him with peach blossom eyes. Oh, it seems that there is such a thing, but before that, you have to call the ancient doctor's second sister-in-law. Look at what you just said. She's a coward, as thin-skinned as a piece of paper, and she can't say anything by changing her name. This doesn't fit your image of a smiling fox who talks nonsense to people in the mall. How can you discuss business with her in the future? Yao Wengxian wiped his glasses with his hand and glanced down with a smile. Oh, compared to me, my brother, your professionalism is indeed worthy of admiration. You haven't forgotten about acting even when your wife is not around. You are a good husband at home. He has adapted to his role quite well. Look, now that my wife has left the table, the noble young master is willing to clean up the dishes himself. Fen Yuyu's hand holding the empty bowl trembled slightly. Why did he do this? That woman Bai Jianchun is really poisonous. Didn't she just casually say to him to take care of her after finishing her meal, and he actually took care of her? But at this time, he couldn't lose. He didn't stop moving his hands, but moved slowly and gracefully, and looked back with a fake smile. This is called advancing one's career and loving one's career. I have always been dedicated to my work. But I also remembered one thing. You suddenly said before that you decided not to lower the price of Vitality Pill and would buy it at the original price. Do you already know that the ancient doctor is Bai Jianchun? Yao Wengxian understands Fen Yuyu, and Fen Yuyu naturally understands Yao Wengxian. This person's business acumen is no worse than his own. When discussing business in the mall, he always bites off a piece of the other person's flesh. Offering to buy at full price is obviously not his style. Before, Fen Yuyu didn't know that Bai Jianchun and the ancient doctor were the same person, so he really believed his lies and thought it was normal business to make profits again and again, but now, Fen Yuyu didn't believe it anymore. Now it was Yao Wengxian's turn to be stuck, and his heart was heavy. The second child was the second child, and his brain was really smart. If he grasped one point, he could see through what he was hiding. But Yao Wengxian refused to admit defeat, put back his glasses, squinted his eyes and smiled, leaving aside the topic just now, and directly started a new fatal topic. Sister sent me a message just now, asking me to help you organize the wedding. I told her the address, and I think she should be on her way here. He also learned how to hit a snake within 7 inches. Sure enough, this hit directly hit Fen Yuyu's Achilles heel. Have a wedding? What a joke. Even if he agreed, the woman would not agree. Then he would be the only one who would be embarrassed by the joke. So, Yao Wengxian vs Fen Yuyu, Yao Wengxian won a great victory. Fen Yuyu became anxious. Now he doesn't want to see his eldest sister at all. I didn't want to put away the dishes anymore, so I simply stuffed them into the space, and even put the tables and chairs back, so that the fourth child wouldn't be able to sit on them. If he doesn't sit down, he won't sit down. Yao Wengxian's mood is not affected. Instead, he smiles. Feng Xiao actually has this day. Fen Yuyu didn't bother to pay attention to the triumphant look of this villain. He pursed his thin lips and furrowed his handsome eyebrows and was circling irritably, thinking in his mind, should he take the first step or the first step. Just in time, a flying car flew over in the distance, and Bai Qianchun and her two younger brothers jumped out of the flying car. Fen Yuyu's eyes suddenly lit up, and he took long strides and trotted towards her quickly. He grabbed her arm with his long slender hands and pulled her to the speeding car. "Aren't you going to make balls in the afternoon? I'll accompany you, I'll give you a hand." Bai Qianchun looked confused and looked at him displeased with her eyebrows twisted. What was this man doing? Just when she was about to throw that hand away, Fen Yuyu leaned close to her ear and whispered anxiously, "Eldest sister is coming to us to discuss holding a wedding. Let's stay away first." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I became the richest man in the world by making meatballs. Author, Lanshan Luzi. Chapter 219. Bai Qianchun looked at him with big black and white eyes, speechless. That's it? Looking at her expression, Fen Yuyu knew that she hadn't realized the seriousness of the matter. His handsome face couldn't help showing an irritated look. "You come with me first, I'll explain to you later." "Okay, good." Bai Qianchun sneered coldly, who didn't have a temper. If it weren't for the fact that he was a good labor force and had contributed a lot in the morning, would she have let him hold her arm for so long? Bai Qianchun became impatient at the moment. She pulled off his hand and glanced at him coldly. "No, if you have anything to say, just tell me here. I haven't finished my work, so I won't leave." Leng Xiao and Ye Yang stood behind her like guardians. Although they didn't speak, the expressions on their faces were very clear. "If you dare to cause trouble, we will beat you to death on behalf of Sister Chun." Fen Yuyu, who was being stared at, scratched his hair and felt depressed. Damn it, this woman Bai Qianchun didn't raise any little brothers. He was clearly just two little wolf dogs. Seeing the indifferent expression on the woman standing opposite him, and the two little wolf dogs still clinging closely behind her, Fen Yuyu's irritability of eager to run away turned into another kind of irritation, scratching his heart and lungs and wanting to the irritability of throwing these two little wolf dogs out for a violent beating. His handsome and jade-like face had a gloomy expression, and his peach blossom eyes flashed coldly as he stared back at the two people. "Oh ha ha! Feng Xiao is angry." Yao Wengxian pushed his eyes with one hand, narrowed his eyes and wandered around the four people confronting each other with a smile. After understanding the target in Fen Yuyu's eyes, a subtle emotion suddenly arose in his heart. After getting married, the novel drama about me falling in love with my fake wife actually has a sequel. Is Feng Xiao really going to blossom? It's interesting. I didn't expect him to like this flirtatious girl. He doesn't want her to be in a hurry. She has to be fierce and indifferent to look down on him. According to Yao Wengxian's eyesight, it is impossible to tell that this ancient doctor lady really has no interest in Feng Xiao at all. How should I say this? Heaven's way is easy to reincarnate, who will be spared by heaven? Feng Xiao was so arrogant and venomous. He had scolded and cried many girls. Now he is fine. He sent a girl who looked down on him to punish him. Yao Wengxian was leaning against the tree leisurely, watching the show with his arms folded over his chest, but not getting involved. But even without him, this situation wouldn't last long. The star citizens, who had been waiting for the food for a long time, didn't have his eyesight. When they saw Bai Qianchun, Ye Yang, and Leng Xiao coming back, they all looked like, as if he saw the braised pork coming. Dion started shouting at the top of his voice, "Star Master, Mr. Yang, you are back. Have you brought the food?" Ye Yang's ears twitched, and he immediately moved his eyes away from Fen Yuyu, and responded loudly, "Bring it back, it's not wrong this time, it's in Sister Chun's space." Then she turned around and tugged at the corner of Baikin Chun's clothes, reminding her, Sister Chun, let's go over there quickly. Bai Qian Chun withdrew his gaze from Fen Yuyu's evil face, glanced sideways at Ye Yang, and responded in a low voice, yeah. As the two of them turned to leave, Leng Xiao also looked at Fen Yuyu coldly and followed. Fen Yuyu was left standing there, biting his back molars, looking at the harmonious backs of the three people leaving, with an angry look on his face. Who is her husband? This woman has no professionalism at all. Why did she raise a little wolfdog while acting? This is a breach of contract, a serious breach of contract, and the money must be deducted. Yao Wengxian came over and patted him on the shoulder. Second brother, don't be angry. I think you should think about how to deal with the elder sister for a while. You don't want to embarrass yourself in front of the ancient doctor. Fen Yuyu's scalp suddenly tightened and he almost forgot about it. He looked at the kid Yao Wengxian gloating about his misfortune, his perfectly contoured jawline tightened, and his rationality gradually returned. Then his charming peach blossom eyes narrowed slightly. You look very happy, so leisurely, that greedy wolf star. I might as well leave the investigation to you on the desolate planet next door. Lei Jinsha's last whereabouts is there, and you might be able to find some clues if you go there yourself. Yao Wengxian's smile suddenly froze and he refused solemnly, no, I don't know how to use my limbs to distinguish between grains and grains. How can I go to such a ghost place to survive in the wilderness? It's better to send capable people there. Fen Yuyu snorted and glanced at him contemptuously, young man, if Bai Qian Chun can't be cured, that woman can't cure him. Fourth brother, do you want another bowl? Come and line up quickly. If you are late, it will be gone. Lao Liuguan Cao shouted with a loud voice, and immediately gave Yao Wengxian a reason to escape. He quickly smiled and followed Fen Yuyu, said goodbye, then pulled away and ran away. Alas, this is the difference between being a boss and a worker. No matter what happens, the boss is the one who wins in the end. At this moment, Fen Yuyu was finally left alone, but this alone time was short, and the person he least wanted to see was here. Xiao Shengbeining's bright and bright voice sounded, but in Fen Yuyu's ears it sounded no less than a midnight bell. The female ghost was coming. As soon as he heard the voice, Fen Yuyu couldn't help his scalp numbing, and turned his head stiffly to look over. However, his face changed quickly, and his sexy thin lips pulled up, followed by a lazy smile similar to usual, and the familiar tone came easily, sister, brother-in-law, why are you here? The environment of Muyuan Star is so good, it's a rare vacation for you, why don't you go and enjoy the world of two people and experience the life of two people picking? He said in a teasing tone, while those beautiful peach blossom eyes blinked at them ambiguously. He didn't dare to relax in front of the eldest sister. Although the eldest sister was a carefree person, her intuition was very strong and she could detect something amiss at the slightest sign. Of course, her skills were mainly used on the battlefield, and she rarely used them with relatives and would be confused, but it doesn't mean that she can just fool around. This is the eldest sister who knows him better than his own mother. She must show her superb acting skills and cannot relax. Huo Quancheng looked at him with deep eyes. Although his face was expressionless and majestic as usual, Fen Yuyu could see at a glance the resentment deep in his heart. Sure enough, he heard his eldest sister happily say, We went there when we got up from the treehouse in the morning. We also picked a few large durians according to the location provided by the younger siblings. It's enough for your brother-in-law. Well, it's enough for your brother-in-law. Apart from anything else, the air and fruits in Wuyuan Star, my sister-in-law, are really good. I want to hold another wedding here with your brother-in-law. I was talking about this with your brother-in-law just now, but I can't do both. We are an old couple, and it is not suitable to have another one, so I thought of you, the waiter. If not, we will come over and ask while we are eating. How about the wedding I told you last night? Did my sister-in-law agree? There is no chapter 3 anymore, just 2 updates today. Go to bed early, dear ones, good night. I became the richest man in the world by making meatballs. Author, Lanshan Luzi Y. Chapter 220. As expected, Fenyuyu Zindeo couldn't escape this trouble. He had a smile on his face, and when he thought of the 3 harmonious figures leaving just now, his heart was filled with anger. He threw the blame and said, I was delayed by something last night. I haven't done it yet, it's too late to ask, otherwise, eldest sister, please help me personally ask my wife. Shen Baining thought about it and smiled, that's right. You really have to ask your siblings for their opinions on this matter. The wedding is a major event in a lifetime, and it must be arranged according to the woman's wishes. Waiter, you will be listening next to me. Come on, take notes, I will help you find out what your younger siblings like, remember to highlight the key points, and then you can give your younger siblings a surprise. Shen Baining pointed out enthusiastically. Fenyuyu smiled with an untouched face and agreed, okay. Since that woman has nothing to fear, let her deal with the eldest sister by herself, and he will be a quiet wallflower on the side. How great! So after Bai Qianchun set up the 4 large pots filled with food and gave Ya Yang Lengxiao a few words to come out of the crowd, she was greeted by Shen Baining's passionate eyes and Fenyuyu's gloating secret smile. Bai Qianchun's eyes darkened, and she felt wary in her heart. But vigilance is useless, who can resist a big sister who is passionate, sincere, and kind, and has a smile like a flower? As soon as Shen Baining saw her coming out, her beautiful eyes lit up, and a sincere smile appeared on her bright and heroic face. She called out brother and sister in a gentle and clear voice, and then Bai Qianchun's arm was touched by her gudit. Although Bai Qianchun was a little awkward, she stretched out her hand so as not to hit the smiling person. She twitched a little, and when she couldn't pull it out, she let her hug her and politely replied, sister. Hey, Shen Baining responded happily pulling her to the chair prepared aside to sit down, and then went straight to the topic without any delay. Brothers and sisters, as soon as you registered before, the boy was thrown to the front line. He was not able to give you a decent wedding. This was really not his intention. Don't worry, this boy is definitely not a heartless person. He is always thinking about him. I'm planning a grand wedding for you. You see, he is already thinking about it right now when he comes back. He is waiting for your nod when the wedding will be held. Once the wedding is held, it will be officially announced to the public. I will give you this by bringing your marriage to a happy ending. You can shut up those gossips outside who mistakenly think your mistress doesn't value you and your wife can live your little life quietly. This Bai Qianchun thought to herself that this was really to rush the wedding, so she smiled lightly and came up with the reason she had made up before to refuse. Sister, I think this wedding should be forgotten for now, I just took charge of it. Mu Yuan seeing, there are so many things going on, I'm afraid I won't be able to take care of the wedding, so I'd better postpone it for now. Shen Baining immediately expressed his understanding. Managing and building an origin star is indeed a busy matter. It is conceivable that it cannot be separated and the energy cannot be separated. But Shen Baining still didn't give up for the sake of her second brother's happy marriage. She was moved by love and reason, and also used the example of when she inherited the fire source star. She led the star people to build infrastructure while preparing for the wedding. He persuaded her and gave her a very well-intentioned suggestion, sister-in-law, you don't need to worry about the wedding. Just tell me what kind of wedding you like and where to hold it. Let the waiter do the rest of the preparations. When your husband comes, you can just be a hands-off shopkeeper and wait until the wedding starts before putting on a beautiful wedding dress to attend. Your husband is here to boss you around. Good guy, she has thought of all the ways. An ordinary bride would definitely agree immediately. Who wouldn't want a wedding where she says her preference, then acts as a hands-off shopkeeper and lets her husband make the arrangements, and finally attends the wedding dressed beautifully? Fenyu, who had been dumped, felt aggrieved that these preferential treatment did not belong to him, but the hard work was dumped on him, while he looked at Baikin Chun's depressed face and gloated. Huh, eldest sister is not someone who can be dismissed so easily. She must be regretting it now. Although Bai Chun was a little annoyed, she didn't regret it. Anyway, this problem would come to her door today or tomorrow, so she couldn't avoid it. She continued, but I feel that now is not the time. I have nothing now. He has a high status and their identities do not match. Shen Baining slapped Fenyu's back with excitement, and there was a loud slap. Her eyes were filled with angry flames and she said sternly, "Why don't you deserve it?" "Who said that?" "Is it you, the waiter? Have you mentioned it to your siblings?" Fenyu bared his teeth and went to scratch his back, but when he saw Shen Baining's threatening eyes, he immediately stopped his movements, straightened his waist, smiled, and shook his head like a rattle. "No, it's not me. I love my wife so much, how could I say such words to hurt her heart?" "That's good." Shen Baining felt relieved after hearing this. She turned to Bai Chun with a ferocious face and immediately raised a kind smile, comforting, "Brothers and sisters, you heard it too, the waiter should be my husband. Didn't say anything. Just treat the other gossips as rubbish. They just can't eat the grapes and say sour grapes. I think there was a lot of gossip when I got married to your brother-in-law. I caught 2 of them out at that time. A man who spoke the foulest and loudest words came out and gesticulated with them, and no one dared to say these words in front of me again after that. You can also follow my method. If you don't want to fight them, then give them some medicine. I heard the waiter said that you are looking for someone to test the medicine. If anyone dares to say bad things about you in front of you, just give them some medicine. Give them a poison pill and let them test the medicine, to scare the monkeys. I wonder who dares to say bad things about you in front of you again. I, your husband, and your brother-in-law are there to support you. As long as those people don't die and there are still some people left. With your tone, no one can do anything to you. As for those gossips behind my back, you can't hear them anyway. Don't worry about them. Just close the door and live your life as a couple." Bai Chun, showing an awkward yet polite smile. If she was really an aggrieved little daughter-in-law, she would probably be moved to pieces when she heard her husband's elder sister support her so much. But she is not. Zhuangshu, who was watching silently with a dinner plate on the side, felt that he should have a role here, so he stood up and intervened. "Major General Baining, our official's wife is not bad at all. One of them can defeat our Phoenix battleship. There are more than 30 soldiers who can fight better than our commanders." Shen Baining was stunned. "Is this so?" This kid Fenyuya grew up under her nose, and they have been separated in the past few years, but she can roughly estimate his level. Now this kid's adjutant actually said that his younger siblings can fight better than him. That is indeed very impressive. Incredible.